News Talk 1250 WTMA. Tara Servatius.
Yeah, Tara Servatius. She was a person in your chair, Charlie, before you came.
Yeah.
A lot of great morning people here at WTMA over the years, both as a news talk station and as a music station. And one of those guys from the music era is on the line right now, a guy who was at WTMA here in the 70s for many years, the one and only John Burwell. Hey, John, welcome to WTMA.
Hello. Good. I did the mornings briefly. When was that? 78, I think, or something like that. I was in between. We were in between morning jocks, and they moved the midday guy there to mornings for a while. Hi, welcome. Hey,
glad that you're here on WTMA with us this morning. As we celebrate, John, our 76th anniversary.
How
about that?
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, we go and we look back. We are older. We are older than Donald Trump by about 6 years.
Now that's saying something.
That's saying something. We don't have quite the money he does, but definitely we're older. So, John, what was it like here in the 70s, being a DJ in Charleston and being a part of everybody's lives in the Low Country?
It was absolutely phenomenal. I started. My dad owned a radio station, and I started upstate and moved to Columbia in college. And then I got the call to WTMA when I got out of college, and I felt like I'd hit the big time. But
right
at that time, WTMA had more listeners than any other station in the South. If you look at it cumulative,
yeah,
we had, we were pulling. Honest and truthfully, we were pulling 80 and 90 shares.
Yeah,
and it was I can remember when I got there, John Trenton was the general manager, and after I was hired, he pulled me into his office and he said, John, you have made it to WTMA. You have made it to the top. And he said, we are number one, and we'll stay number one, won't we? And he said, if you can't, I'll find somebody who will.
Now, John, weren't you doing mornings in Columbia, and then you came to WTMA to do all nights?
I was at WNOK in Columbia.
Oh, really?
WNOK, and I got the opportunity to get the call, and I knew, everybody knew about WTMA, and you wanted to be there. That was, and so I took the all night shift, knowing that eventually I would get off all nights, and I did. Moved to midday, and I was at midday most of my time there.
But still, you were middays at TMA, buddy.
Yeah,
you were on the big dog.
It was wonderful. Oh, it was wonderful.
So what was it like? I mean, I'm kind of a little bit of a similar story. I was doing radio in Columbia and then came here. And what was your first impression when you came here and you got on the air in the Low Country, man? You're in Charleston now, buddy.
It was phenomenal, it was a little on the scary side because 5,000 watts being broadcast over half the state, and all the way to Florida, via the sand and the surf like that, all the way to Florida, and it's a little unnerving at first, but I loved doing it, and I was around a whole bunch of great people, and so it was just fun. I can't tell you how much fun it was. Remember one time we had so many listeners that we were blowing the phone lines back then. The Southern Bells, what it was back then, and they couldn't handle the volume of calls. We were blowing out phone lines.
That's awesome.
And Southern Bell called us and said, "You will either quit doing contests or we'll pull your phones."
Oh my word!
And so what we ended up having to do was to limit if your name begins with the letters A through L, call now, or
That's great.
So it was something.
Now, John, you were one of the people that was buried alive, right?
Gosh, yes, you heard about that.
What all right, first of all, why would you agree to that? And two, what was that like?
Well, I don't know. I was 23 years old, I think, and Booby Nash was supposed to be. Well, this way, it was at the Port Drive-In, which was an old drive-in theater on Rivers Avenue at the time, and they wanted to run a Halloween special, and they wanted to actually, truthfully bury somebody in a coffin and let them broadcast from about 3 feet below,
right,
the ground like that, but completely buried over, and to broadcast their radio show from there. And Booby said, "You have to be out of your minds if you think I'm going to do that."
Yeah.
And he said, "But ask Burwell. Burwell will." and I thought, yeah, this will be fun. And so I did it. I broadcast for 3 hours lying on my back in a coffin underground. And, I don't think I could do that today.
No. My word.
It was great back then. It really was.
Hey, Charlie, we've got a new promotion idea.
Hey, no. No, that is not happening. At one time that was floated around about me doing something like that. And I was like, no. So,
I'm claustrophobic now.
I
had to.
Now, and what are you doing now, John Burwell?
I am a pastor of a church in Orangeburg, South Carolina.
Wow.
I was pastoring a big church in Charleston, Holy Cross, which is Sullivan's Island and Daniel Island, multiple locations, and I worked there for 27 years, and I thought, that's enough.
Yeah.
and so I have moved to a much smaller church up in the Midlands, up in Orangeburg, South Carolina, called Church of the Redeemer, and we're trying to make it grow and having a good time. But,
good.
Yeah.
Tell us, John, what about some of the old names that you've worked with? Spark some of our memories here on some of the early days of TMA.
Well, everybody knows Booby Nash.
Oh yeah,
he was the star. There was Keith Nichols, who passed away a couple of years back. Like that, Keith was the voice of WTMA.
Right.
He had these pipes.
You always got to have that guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And Steve Russell was another one. And let's see. John Trenton, and trying to think some of the other guys.
Gary London.
Yeah, Gary London. How did I forget big old Gary? Yeah, like that. So that was pretty much, and we were fairly stable. We kept the same crew for a long time. Like that. We didn't move in and out like the radio station.
Right. Yeah, you see that a lot. John, did being buried alive have anything to do with your entering the church? Was that some kind of epiphany that you had while lying there in your coffin, thinking of your ultimate demise?
Yeah, gotta be prepared for what's coming. No, I don't think it did, but
that's great. That is great. All right, John. Any other great memories that you have? Just let people know, because a lot of people don't know what it's like to be on the air and to live the life that we are blessed to live for so long.
Well, one of the things, of course, being on radio, you can't tell what the person looks like that you're listening to,
and that's a good thing.
And yeah, I guess it's a good thing. Yeah, right. They say there's a reason that we're in radio and not television, right? But I can remember, going to stores, things like that, and somebody would say, "John Burwell, that name sounds familiar." I said, "Yes, I'm John Burwell on WTMA," and you can't be, you know, anything like you. You like that. But it was phenomenal how many listeners actually that there were at the time. Because really, if you said your name, people go, "Wait a minute, I know, yeah, it's WTMA, aren't you?" Like that. It was, and that was, that was fun. But the really, I think the greatest thing about being at WTMA was being at a station that was they knew they were winners, and the whole attitude was we're the top dog in the area, and we're not afraid about the competition because we are the competition. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was just a magical time. Just magical.
You talk about being recognized. I remember one time I was at a club and somebody asked me if I was going to a party. And I said, no, I'm not going. And they said, well, Charlie James is going to be there. And I was like,
oh, really?
I can assure you he's not.
I'm sure Charlie James is not going to be there.
That's right. So, John Burwell, it was a pleasure, buddy. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thanks. Great talking to you.
John, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it.